Welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast. Today I'm your host, Christian, and I'm always excited to talk about what we bring to you, the hard conversations, the tough topics, but I'm especially excited today because not only is this conversation filled with truth, but it's also filled with someone that has been speaking on this, been living this message out for multiple years. She's been a voice in our life, in our ministry, and so I'm excited to introduce Lila Rose. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Christian.
Yeah. So when you got on, we were already joking about this, but you and I met at Color 2019, when you can go places, meet people, make new friends.
I know.
Feels like a lifetime ago. But I want to know, if COVID was completely eliminated tomorrow, who is someone famous or not well known, dead or alive, that you'd be excited to meet?
To meet, I would honestly be most excited to be with my grandparents because we've seen them outdoors, but it's just been tricky. They've been wanting to get together a lot, and we've been able to see them a little bit, but it's just been harder because of COVID. So that's kind of rough because they're also my son's great grandparents. So these are like special time with them. So I just have us all the family be together. I've got a really big family and it's been harder to do gatherings. So yeah, that would be one thing. And then another person, I don't know. I'll stick with grandparents.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong. Are you of Italian heritage as well?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I was just going to say, so family is like of the utmost importance.
Everything. Yeah. Are you Italian too?
I am not, but I'm married into an Italian family, so
Okay.
I feel like I have a little bit of the essence at this point.
Yes, you are.
All amazing things, especially the pesto
Yeah.
and the pasta intake. Okay, piggybacking off of that, I want to know, if your husband had to answer this question, not so much you, but if your husband had to answer, what would he say one of your biggest secret talents is?
Okay, secret talent. All right.
It can be cooking
I don't know
pasta.
if this might be an anti-talent. Leaving everything open and not even intending to, like somehow, whether it's like the cereal box or the salt shaker, like the milk, he pours his milk in the morning and like the lid is already off and he's trying to like shake it, or shake the orange juice and the lid's off and it like splatters everywhere. So I don't know if that's a talent. Actually, that's more like an anti-talent, but that's one thing that I think he would probably say.
Hey, honestly, we're just embracing it. I'm sure there are many things like that have come up in conversation of during the staying at home order of just, hey babe, you gotta
I know.
watch out.
Close things. It's funny because he's more of the like organized type A one in the relationship. Usually it's I feel like women are like, oh, the man doesn't put things away, but the roles are a little reversed for us. So I've never been a slob, but I married, he's ex-military, so he has a military background. He's the oldest son in his family. So he's like always on it, which is nice. My house is pretty tidy. Thanks to him. So that's one of his talents.
Yeah. Hey, that's
I make life interesting and I make life interesting. He makes life organized. So there you go. Perfect match.
There we go. God knew what you both needed in a partner. It's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so this has been fun, but I really want people to get the chance to hear exactly, or from you, kind of a little bit of who you are, what your life story has been up to this point, and just a peek into your life, if you're open to sharing.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So I'm from a big family. I'm one of 8 kids. I was raised in Northern California, and I started my organization, Live Action, which is now a global movement for human rights, particularly the rights of the child and the womb and for women, when I was 15. And that was out of a lot of inspiration, I believe, from God, that I saw just the crisis that our country's in. We have an abortion rate in the United States that is extremely high. We're killing, at the time when I started Live Action, over 3,000 children every single day. And just the toll on women, on families, and of course just the loss of these lives, these children that God created that had a plan. He had a plan for them. And I realized that this was the greatest human rights issue of our day, and I needed to do something about it. So that was where Live Actions Genesis came, where we realized I saw this is a huge problem. I have to do something. And then over the years, in college, I started doing investigative reporting. And that's also where I really came more deeply into my own faith and realized that this is a calling for my life. I have to do everything I can to help renew our culture, because really it's a cultural problem, not just a political problem. It's a human issue where we're not valuing ourselves, we're not valuing family, and we of course are not valuing the child. So yeah, and then since then, over my 20s, it's been traveling the globe, investigating the abortion industry, helping grow our movement, and there's a lot of work left to be done, but it's just amazing to see God's faithfulness through it all and helping us grow and helping the movement continue to grow. And also just learning on the job. I mean, I didn't go to, there's not really, there are like degrees for nonprofit administration, but I had to learn everything from scratch. And so that's also been part of the trajectory, is learning how to grow myself personally while also growing professionally. And then got married 2 years ago, had a son. So that's awesome. And yeah, there's the nutshell.
I love that. One, I commend the fight that you've put forth with your life, and you're making it a work of passion rather than just out of duty. And I think that speaks volumes to where it is, the outcome of everything that you're doing. And I just want to go back to a point you said, you started live action at 15 years old, correct? How did you,
right, yeah.
For people that are listening, and, before we delve completely deeper into the bigger topic, how are people that are listening and just thinking, I want to get in touch with making a difference, I want to do something that God's putting inside of me, but how did you have, one, that confidence and empowerment that young? And then two, how did you get kind of aware with what was going on? Like, what resources at that age were you tapping into?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing that I would recommend to anybody who feels that they are meant to do something great for the world, but they're not sure how to start. They want a purpose, they want a calling, but they're not sure where to begin to discover that and to live it. First of all, I want to assure everyone who's listening, you have a specific call in your life. So God did not create you accidentally. God did not put you at this time in human history, just some random chance. You were created at this time for a particular purpose, and it's a purpose for good and for truth and for beauty in this world. I think a first place to start is to ask yourself, what breaks my heart? Let your heart really feel for what is happening in our world. Educate yourself, learn about what's happening in your community. Where are people struggling or suffering? Learn about what's happening in our nation or globally, and just connect your heart to the needs of the world and ask God to connect your heart to the needs of others. Because I believe that heartbreak is actually the instigator for our calling, because we discover what are we called for to bring healing and to ultimately serve the people around us. For me, when I found out what abortion was, Christian, I actually saw the image of a baby when I was young, and I was learning about different things. I was reading this book, and it was a book about abortion, and I remember seeing this picture of a baby who was only 10 weeks old in the first trimester, that you can see this human life, you can see this face, you can see arms and legs, and this baby had been torn apart by a powerful suction first trimester abortion. And I was just heartbroken. I didn't know, I think politics and media and sort of social media can desensitize us, but I wasn't desensitized. My heart was open, and I was just cut to the heart for this baby, this nameless child that was killed by his or her own mother. Who knows what that woman was going through, but she went to an abortionist, and then this baby never had a chance. And so that was my starting place of like, okay, I have to do something about this. So ask yourself, what is it in the world that you see that you have to do something about? What gets you fired up? What breaks your heart? And then begin to pray, begin to educate yourself, begin to learn, begin to study, be a student, and God will open the doors. If we just make a start, just start to try things, get involved with a ministry that's local, put in some phone calls, read some books. We all have to start somewhere. It can feel overwhelming when we see a problem. We're like, okay, what do we do about this problem? But I think the key after heartbreak is getting started. And that can look as simple as calling up somebody that could be a mentor for you and asking their advice. It could be reading a book. It could be getting involved in a ministry at church. But it's getting our feet wet, because God will open each door one at a time. He doesn't give us our whole life's plan. That's very rarely happens, that God gives you a vision of your entire life and now you just have to go live it, right? We're discovering as we go. And that's really the life of trust in faith, right? Trusting God, even when we don't see every step of the way, and taking that next right step, even when it feels uncertain.
Yeah, I love that. I think you said that so beautifully. And, I don't think we actually hear that conversation much. I think we hear the story of, what are you passionate about? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? But the story of heartbreak, which can seem cynical to our generation of, what's the highlight reel? What did someone do? What's the gain in what they pursued? But having your heartbreak for something, I think that doesn't die as quick as excitement. That doesn't die as quick as the kind of smoke and mirrors that we do see with success or passion or jobs lately. So I love that you shared that and you went there. And
it needs to be born out of empathy, because I think the best dreams are dreams that have to do with loving others. I mean, you can have like these big dreams of being like famous or like super creative or doing really amazing, being super wealthy or building some amazing empire. And it's not necessarily those things are bad in and of themselves, but what is the goal? What is the purpose of those things? Are the purpose to serve others and to make the world better? Or is it your ego, right? Or is it just, comparing yourself to other people out there? And I discovered that the key to unlock, I think, our real passion and potential is empathy and compassion. And compassion means to suffer with, right? It means to align ourselves with those in need and to feel what they feel, to get inside of their shoes and to love with them, by them, be with them. So that is key. And then you'll discover, you will accomplish amazing things, I believe. You will maybe do things you would have never dreamed of. Your talents will be put to use, but they will be directed towards the goal that is at the heart of Christ's heart, which is service of others, laying down your life for others.
Yeah. I think that's so beautiful. And I know that has been your heart, that's been Live Action's heart, and I hope that's the body of Christ's heart in even our conversations around abortion, around the purpose of life, because, without that topic, without that heartbeat, it's all just talk, really. And I think what's been the most heartbreaking for me, at least in conversations I've had and people that I've seen walking through this, is first the thought that people that are fighting for abortion do not care about the mothers. They do not have that empathy for the people that are in the situations. It's more so a matter of right and wrong. And in my heart of hearts and relating to God, I know that is the furthest truth from where it's supposed to be, but it might be true of what people are seeing. So before we dive into what our stances should be, how we should fight, can you share a little bit of how you come into those conversations, or just even what you try to position for that empathy in this area?
Sure. I think that's a great point. And I will also say, listen, in any tremendous cause, especially when it's a cause that has to do with something that's truly evil that's happening, the death and the direct killing of an innocent person, the oppression of a group of people, racism, sexism, ageism. When there's something evil that needs to be fought or exposed, you're going to see a spiritual battle as well as this physical battle, right? So St. Paul says in Ephesians, we don't battle just against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. So the reason I bring this up is because in the pro-life battle, you're going to hear people say, well, they don't really care about women, or they don't care about the baby after he or she is born, or they're just a bunch of religious zealots who are full of hate and bigotry, or whatever it might be, right? And I would say, first of all, obviously it's good to engage and to try to, untangle some of those misunderstandings and objections, and I'll do that in a moment. But I will say, I think a lot of it is based out of a spiritual battle, this anger towards those that are standing up against abortion and for what is right. So I will say, no matter what you do, if you are standing for truth, if you're doing it with love because you're trying to follow Christ, pick up your cross and follow him, you will be attacked and you will be slandered. People will make fun of you. People will lie about you. People will cast negative opinions on your intentions. People will attack you. Do not take it into your heart. Put an armor around your heart. Armor not to protect yourself from loving, but to protect yourself for loving. Because those are hateful, evil thoughts and ideas that are not the truth that are going to try to stop you in your tracks from loving. And when it comes to the pro-life movement, I mean, in our movement, and I know because of your work too, Christian, you've seen this working even with Lisa and John and your family. The pro-life movement is full of people who are adopting kids. They're fostering kids. There are thousands of pregnancy resource centers helping low-income families, helping single moms in need. I don't know, the people that I work with, the pro-life leaders, the pro-life activists, are some of the most generous, loving, sacrificial people in the book. So this stereotype that is hurled as an accusation at the pro-life community, I think it is a spiritual attack. And I would say, stay strong, keep loving, keep providing, keep fighting for women and children. When we fight for children, we fight for their mothers. We're not just, saying, just have a baby and that's it. I mean, we want them to have a very healthy pregnancy. We want the woman to feel encouraged and strong and supported. We want that child to have a beautiful life and to be in a loving family. And the pro-life movement in many different facets is fighting for all of those things. So I would just say, put armor around your heart to the attacks and the lies and stay true to your mission and don't let it derail you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice. And I hope everyone's breaking that down and taking it to heart. And, I was even thinking about this of why does it go to that point? And like you said, I think first and foremost, we have to know there is a spiritual attack. There's a spiritual agenda that doesn't want to see this come to fruition. But I think if we get a little nitty gritty with it, I was thinking of, women that suffer from eating disorders. Why is it that when we tell someone or someone that has overcome an eating disorder relays to someone else, hey, I've been there, it's not worth it. I care for your health so much that I want to see you in victory. The message is accepted, I think, maybe not 100%, but is accepted a little bit more readily and more with love and open arms. Whereas when it is communicated to a mother or to a young girl that, hey, because I love you, because I love your child, I want to see you have victory in this area from this truth, from this biblical truth. And for me, I was just thinking, why is that where we've made it? And I think part of it is because we don't want to have the conversations beforehand, right? I'm sure many people come when they do accuse you of things or live action things of the details in the aftermath. But why are we a little bit more scared to go there in the initial of why should people get married? What is the purpose of the mother-child relationship? And what if you had to put maybe 2 questions forth for our generation, things that we can be having conversations of, what are 2 conversations you think could even alienate the abortion conversation if we knew how to tackle these well?
I think that's a great question. Those are great questions. And I think you're spot on that the message of love is paramount. I mean, we're fighting for women. We're fighting for their dignity. Killing your child isn't dignifying. It's not for you. It's a wound against you spiritually and morally. And it's also very wrapped up in not solving real problems. Like a woman who has an abortion, a girl who has an abortion, she's going through, maybe a lot of fear and a lot of concern. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? When she has that abortion, that doesn't not make her a mother anymore. It just makes her, she was a mother and now her child was killed. And it just adds another trauma onto the trajectory of her life. It doesn't solve any of the problems she's in. Maybe she's in a bad relationship. Maybe she's struggling economically, whatever it is. It doesn't make her rich. Having an abortion doesn't make you wealthy. Having an abortion doesn't make you in a happy relationship all of a sudden. And having an abortion doesn't make you suddenly a strong, successful career woman. I mean, having an abortion only ends the life of your family member. And I think connecting that woman to support and resources, which is so much of what the pro-life movement is about, is key. But to your question about, what's the kind of larger context here? If we were to work on these other areas, maybe we wouldn't even have this abortion problem. I totally agree with that. And I think it does come down to our sense of worth as women and our own choices that we are making with men ultimately that are ultimately not healthy choices for us. So most of the women having abortions are women that are pregnant because it's very unexpected for them. They weren't planning it. And it's usually with a guy they don't want to be the father of their baby, or they don't feel ready to be the father of their baby, or mother to their child. And so that's why they feel they should go have an abortion. And in that case, I think, the message to women that you are made for love, you are to be cherished, you have honor, you have dignity, and we should demand a lot more from men. If the man that you're with is not man enough to marry you, is not someone you would want to have kids with, then why are you with that guy? Why are you sleeping with that guy? And I think, women, we're so heavily sexualized, and that breaks my heart. I mean, our culture is leeching off of women, like using women's bodies to sell everything in the books, right? There's like pornography and Pornhub. I don't know if you saw the latest stories on that, but a huge investigative report by the New York Times, which was amazing, that exposed how Pornhub is profiting off of the rapes and torture of women and young girls. And there's just these industries built up to sexualize and objectify us. And if we can just stand and be like, hey, we're done. We're done.
Right.
Like, we know that our bodies are valuable and worthy of respect. And we know that we have the power to bring life into the world. So we're not going to be objectified by men anymore. We demand better. We demand respect. So I think if we, the degree to which we are elevated as women in society, I believe is the degree to which our society is elevated. How women are treated in a society, and children, but particularly how women are respected, will really determine the respect levels in that entire society. So I think ultimately we have to demand more from the men around us. And I think it will inspire. For good men, it will inspire them. For bad men, it'll get them out of our way. So I think that should be the focus of women everywhere.
Yeah. Amen. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. We did our course, Let's Talk About Sex. One, just to have healthy conversations around this, even in the Christian world. Like, why, how are we objectifying ourselves? How are we made for love? How are we settling? And I love that you went there. I love that you pointed it out. And, with that, I think, one, people that are listening, know your worth, know how to fight for yourself the right way versus the wrong way. And then 3, how do we fight for this act of faith? How do we fight for the awareness with our peers, within our family? I know we're coming up, this new year. Lila, how would you encourage women and men that are listening to this to put their voice out there in a way, and maybe you can even point to resources that they can partner with Live Action, of how we can really get involved in a way that will make a difference?
Thanks. Yeah. So there's lots of things we can each do. A lot of organizations, obviously Live Action, we have an ambassadors program. So no matter where you live, what community you're in, what stage of life you're in, you can join Live Action ambassadors, and we have tools for how you can get involved in your community. There's a lot of other pro-life groups we partner with. That's on our website at liveaction.org. But definitely a few that I'll just shout out is 40 Days for Life. It's a prayer outside abortion clinics. I highly recommend everyone to do it at least once, just to have that experience of solidarity with the women and children, and to pray outside an abortion clinic, to be a sign of hope, a witness to hope. And then also getting involved in your local pregnancy care center in your community and finding ways to serve low-income families, or getting involved in the foster care system, doing training to be a foster advocate, an advocate for foster kids. There's just different things that you can do no matter where you are in your life. Those would be some starting places. And then I would just encourage people that, we are called to be saints. We are called to spread God's gospel, Christ's gospel throughout the globe. And it has to take over our entire lives, right? It's not just something we do on Sundays. It's not just something we do quietly in Bible study, and we kind of hide it from the world around us. So find people around you that inspire you, that support you in your mission to change the world for God, and help you grow as a person as well, because part of this is our own journey to grow in virtue. And then just go out there and try things. as I said earlier, try different ways to serve, try to get involved in different causes. Definitely continue to grow in your own faith and knowledge of God, and just have the actual experience of serving others. Like, get out of whatever bubble you might be in. We're all sort of in bubbles, especially with coronavirus and the pandemic. But think about, who's hurting in my city, who needs to hear the truth, and who needs service, who actually needs their material needs, maybe needs met in my community, and how can I serve them? And let that be a starting place to launch you, because I guarantee you that once we start to think in terms of how can I serve, who can I help, how can I make this place better, this world better, it will change your life, and it will direct your life, and it will bring you joy and meaning beyond what you could imagine, because that is really putting our faith into action.
Absolutely. And I've seen that there's been, one, and I know I keep pointing back to live action, but this is something that I've had a little bit of awareness of for a couple years, but as I have done research, as you say, and as you're commending people to do that are listening, I've just learned more, especially from things you've put out, the video of Roe versus Wade and how that actually came to be, the videos that were out with the silhouetted people that are sharing their testimonies. I mean, we firmly believe that we overcome by our testimony, by sharing that, by living it out. And I even know my dad was adopted. And I think back to, just taking this to a deeper level. The more we get educated, the more we realize, one, how big of a deal it is, especially in the United States, and two, how we do have the ability to fight for life in so many different ways and to value life. And I think, gosh, what if my dad hadn't been adopted? What if his story was different? What does that do for not just him, not just his mother, but for a generation of people? And so I just want anyone that is listening to hear and to take Lila's advice to research, to pray into this, to see what God is speaking on your heart, and just get involved. And it doesn't have to be a love or hateful thing. It can be loving completely throughout. And Lila, if you had to give just one last word of encouragement, word of advice for someone watching that has either been through an abortion or knows someone that is currently facing that situation or that temptation, what would you say to them if you had 2 minutes with them?
I would say there are so many people that want to help you and are here for you. Just have hope. You can do this. You've got what it takes. God never gives us a burden bigger than we can carry. It might feel crushing at times, but there's so many people that want to support you. And if anybody's listening and is wondering, okay, what do I do? Maybe they are pregnant, or maybe they know somebody. I would say immediately let's connect you to resources at liveaction.org. There's a resource page with a phone number, a hotline you can call, with organizations you can reach out to for free confidential counseling, for material support if you need that. I mean, there's so many questions that a woman faces if she gets pregnant and she's not expecting it. And there are people that want to confidentially, lovingly, without judgment, accompany you through every step of the way. But the solution is never to kill. It's never to take the life of a human being, and that baby needs you. That baby, there's a purpose for that baby. It might seem scary, but there's a beautiful plan that God has for you and your baby. Your life is not over. In some ways, a new life has begun, and it's going to be beautiful. So hang in there, and let's get you the support that you need and you deserve. So that's what I would say. And also another website I'd give is abortionprocedures.com, because women deserve to know the truth about abortion. They deserve to have all the facts. And abortionprocedures.com also has a resource page as well, with all of these phenomenal resources to help women in all different stages of life. So that would be another resource to check out.
Awesome. Lila, thank you so much for all this information,
Thanks,
all these challenging conversations. And if you could just close us out in prayer, I would really appreciate that.
Sure. Of course. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for just your love and your mercy, and for just giving us this opportunity to have this conversation, and just to be a part of work to serve others and help us become the women you created us to be. Help us to help others become the people they were created to be. And we just pray so many blessings over every single person listening, no matter what they're going through, whatever fears or questions or hopes they have in their heart, that you can go and meet them and you can inspire them and you can console them and you can encourage them. Your Holy Spirit, which is so full of perfect peace and love, and is wherever we go. He is always with us to console and to comfort and to guide us. Bless Christian so much and her marriage, her family, and we just bless my family and we entrust everything to you. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much. And guys, if you're looking for more ways to get resources and to learn a little bit more about Lila and Live Action, you can follow her handle at Lila Rose Official and Live Action at liveaction.org. And let us know how you think or what you think around this conversation. Any questions you have, we are happy to continue this conversation, to join you in prayer. Comment, like, subscribe, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode.